Thrive is back. Thrive is a virtual conference that I have been hosting for the last 3 years as a way to celebrate my birthday, because I can't think of a better way to celebrate my birthday than hosting a virtual conference. The first year, our focus was on personal and leadership development. Last year, our theme for the conference was reinvention. And this year, our theme is design, build, and drive your career. An amazing lineup of speakers are waiting to pour into you all their knowledge, their experience, their insights to inspire you and give you the tools to continue to grow your career and continue your path to your personal development. I hope to really see you there on the event. It's taking place September 8th and it's completely free. You can grab your ticket. Tickets are limited, so go grab yours. You can find the link on the show notes of this podcast episode. Okay, let's start building our time management system. Let me start by saying why some time management systems that you might have tried in the past have not worked. There are many reasons, but there are, in my mind, 2 top reasons why. Number 1 is because you probably just grab a system that is existing and without having a deeper understanding on how it works, you start using it and it didn't work for you because it wasn't personalized to your needs. And number 2, because probably you give up too soon. It takes consistency to build a time management system and to see the results, the impact that it can have in your productivity. Today, we are going to ditch those 2 reasons off the list. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, health and fitness coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. Let's get started. Let's start building our time management system. Now, I know that you might have tried a lot of different time management systems in the past. You might have purchased many different planners and tried different planners, both in paper. Maybe you've tried even electronic planners, and you're like, this doesn't work. This works for others, but it doesn't work for me. If you feel like that, this episode is for you, because I know exactly why they did not work. And we're going to work on making this time, your time management system, work for you, right? Because here's the thing. We all are different. We all have different needs. We all operate differently. You need to personalize your time management system to your needs in order for it to work. And that is the number 1 reason why I think lots of different management systems out there don't work for people, because they're not personalized for their needs, because they don't have some of the things that I'm going to share with you today, right? The second thing that I want to put out there from the very beginning is, if you want your time management system to work for you, you need to be consistent in using that system. It is the consistency that is going to make it work. So personalization and consistency are key. And we're going to talk more about these 2 things, but I want to start by putting these 2 things out there, because I think these are the top 2 reasons why people get frustrated in the space of time management, and they think that all these things that they hear others talk about work for them, but not for you, right? So let's get started with building your own time management system. And I want to start by talking about 5 things that your time management system needs to give you, needs to have in order to really work and help you increase your productivity. The first ingredient that you need in your time management system is it needs to be realistic, right? We want to have the right systems, processes, and tools to make sure that we're not overcommitted or overscheduled, which is the main reason why today you might feel overwhelmed and stressed and in the need to improve your time management skills or to have a time management system. Do you feel frequently overcommitted or overscheduled? Let me start by asking you that. Because if you do, if you keep telling yourself, oh, today is just a bad day, this week is just a bad week, next week it will be better. Today is just so busy, I have so much on my plate, but tomorrow is going to be better. Next week is going to be better. And you find yourself telling that to yourself frequently, you need to be here. You need to keep listening because this podcast episode might help you stop feeling that way. Let me give you an example of what I mean by your time management system being realistic, right? And your time management in general to be realistic. Let's say that you are going grocery shopping and you have a fixed budget to buy your groceries for the week, right? And you go to the store and you pick all the things that you need for the week. And you go to the registry and you're about to pay, and you have $20 on your pocket. And once they scan all the things, you need to pay $50 for your groceries. But you only have $20 in your pocket, right? The person in the cashier is not going to say, oh, don't worry, just go. Give me the $20 and go. That is not going to happen, right? The same happens with our time. Many of us go by the day without being aware of what our time budget is, and we keep adding more and more things to our to-do list. And then we go to bed feeling overwhelmed and feeling frustrated because we never have enough time to do all the things that we need to do, that we thought we could do, or that we want to do. If you feel like that, don't worry. Building a time management system might be what you just need to stop feeling that way. In this example, if you were in the grocery store, what would happen is that you would need to make really hard choices on what you take and what you leave because you only have $20. We rarely do that with our time and our commitments. And that is something that your time management system needs to help you to do, to have transparency on what is your time budget and be realistic. So you commit only to what your budget allows you to commit to. The number one reason why you are so overwhelmed right now is that you're simply are being unrealistic when it comes to how much time you actually have. And the reason why you are unrealistic on how much time you have is because you don't have a time management system that gives you that level of transparency that you need to know exactly what your time budget is. So let me ask you this. Do you honestly know how much time you have available every day to do all the things that you need and want to do? If you were to do a time audit right now, I guarantee you, 99% sure, I can bet on this, that you will find that you have much less time than what you think you actually have. And that is not a bad thing. That is just reality, right? That's something that is just the reality. We always believe that we have more time than what we actually have available. So we make plans for things that are going to take more time than what we have available. So when building a time management system, one thing that you want to make sure is that is realistic. That system allows you and provides you the clarity and the transparency around what your time budget is. The second ingredient in your time management system is alignment. Your time management system needs to provide you alignment. What do I mean by alignment? Let me use a metaphor right here. Let's say that you are driving your car and your wheels are not aligned. What is going to happen? I mean, I'm not a mechanic of any sort. I'm not an expert on this, but I know that if my wheels are not aligned, my car is not going to drive straight. It's going to put a lot of pressure. I'm going to have to put a lot of pressure and be holding my steering wheel even more firmly to go in the direction that I want to go. And by doing that in a long time, over a period of time, is going to have other negative impacts in my car. The one very clear impact, even in the short term, is I am going to impact the efficiency of my car. My car is going to use more gas to take me places if it's not aligned. And there might be other things that are impacted by my car not be aligned over time. The same thing happens when it relates to your time management. If you're not aligning the right task to the right time of the day, you are missing on the opportunity to do things most efficiently and most effectively way possible. Your time management system needs to incorporate this fundamental principle in order to help you be the most productive that you can be. And we're going to talk about some tactics and some processes that are going to help you bring alignment into your time management system. But when we talk about alignment, we're talking about aligning time and energy, right? We talk about when we started this series that when we talk about productivity, it's not only about managing our time, but it's also managing our energy. So, alignment, when we talk about alignment, we're talking about alignment between these two to help you be the most productive that you can be. And that's something that your time management system needs to help you. The third ingredient in your time management system is organization and centralization. What do I mean by this? Well, let me ask you something. If I were to ask you right now to, in a piece of paper, in a blank piece of paper, make a list of everything that you need to get done in the next month, to how many places, different places, would you need to go in order to be able to answer that question? Probably multiple notebooks, maybe your calendar in your computer. Maybe you even have multiple calendars in your computer. Maybe you have a paper planner, maybe multiple post-it notes that are in different places in your office, in your home. If today you need to go to multiple places to locate what you need to do, you're not being efficient and you're constantly leaving overwhelmed, right? Because you have to use a lot of brain power all day long to realize what we need to do. And you constantly probably feel stress because you're afraid that you might forget something that you need to do and you don't want to forget about it. See, your planning system must provide you the ability to know exactly what you need to do at any given point in time. And I'm going to help you build a system that allows you to do that. Your planning system needs to have a command center or a central hub. And we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to show you how can you build your own. But this is basically a centralized hub that tells you exactly all the things that you need to get done. And just by having this element in your time management system is going to drastically reduce your levels of stress and save you a lot of time. So, organization and centralization is a foundational and key principle, a key ingredient in your time management system. And we're going to talk about how we do all of these things, right? So right now I'm just going to put out what are these ingredients, and then I'm going to show you the recipe on how you use these ingredients to build your own time management system. So the fourth ingredient that we need is prioritization. Effective time management starts with understanding your priorities, identifying what are your most important goals and tasks, both in the short term and in the long term, and prioritizing your activity based on their significance and impact to your overall objectives. By focusing on what matters most, then you can allocate your time and your energy accordingly. Let me ask you this. Have you had one of those days that you are constantly doing something? You feel like you're busy all day and then you go to bed exhausted, but you can't think of what you actually accomplished that day? You were just busy being busy. If you have many of these days like this, that you go to bed feeling this way, that is a clear symptom that you are just being busy, and that you're not prioritizing your priorities. Prioritization helps us reduce decision fatigue. We talk about how having a centralized place, a centralized hub, can help you save brain power and feel less overwhelmed and stressed. Well, prioritizing is going to help you save brain power. Because here is the science behind that. We all wake up in the morning and we have a finite amount of brain power to make decisions, right? And as we go through the day, we make a lot of micro and macro decisions. A lot of the things, a lot of decisions that we make, we don't even realize we're making, right? Decisions like, what am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to wear today? Or more important decisions as, how are we going to move this project forward? How are we going to solve this problem? We are constantly making micro and macro decisions. And by the end of the day, you might feel that you either can't make decisions anymore, or that you don't have the willpower anymore to do the things that you said you were going to do. That's why I always like to work out in the morning, because I know I'm not going to have the willpower by the end of the day. And that's why I schedule some of that, my most creative work, in the morning, because by the end of the day, I am just fatigued. This is called decision fatigue. So, if you were to operate every day from a task list approach throughout the day, every time that you're ready to tackle something, every time that you have a little space of time and you're like, okay, now I'm going to tackle some things on my to do list. This is the time that I have now to tackle things on my to do list. A lot of times, even there's people who block time in their calendars to tackle things in their to do list. Are you one of those people that you block time in your calendar and you don't have any specific agenda for that time? You're just sitting down to get some things done? What happens? If you operate from a task list, what happens is that every time you sit down to get some things done, you start going through the list and you're trying to prioritize and make a decision on what is that you're going to do next. If it's not already prioritized, you're making decisions all day long and you're using your energy to do that. Energy that otherwise you could use to make more impactful decisions, to invest in moving forward your priorities, we tend to decide based on what we like the most or what is the quickest, right? What is the thing that I can do the quickest? But not very often we prioritize our task list when we have those moments when we have time to tackle a couple of things based on what is most important or most impactful. Your system must have a prioritization process built into it to help you reduce your decision fatigue and increase your efficiency. And we're going to talk about how we go about doing this. But that is something that your time management system must have. And this is probably something that you have tried doing in the past, but because you had maybe tools, but you didn't have a system, you failed at consistently keeping up with this prioritization. Which takes me to the fifth ingredient in our recipe here, which is consistency. I mentioned a little bit about this in the introduction of today's podcast episode, but managing your time is not about a one time and done, but it requires building consistency. And that is done through systems. That is why we refer to it as a time management system and not a time management tool or a time management process. Those are different things, right? But here's the thing, a lot of times we pick a tool in trying to manage our time, and we use the tool or we use the process that that tool is part of, and we have a great day. But then the next day we're back to where we were. Let me give you an example to exemplify this using maybe an analogy here. Spring cleaning. A couple of months ago we were doing spring cleaning. And if you do spring cleaning, you spent maybe a lot of hours just cleaning your closets, right? And you pull things out and then you put them back on in a particular order and you pack some things, you put things away. Now, let me ask you something. That day after you finish your spring cleaning, I bet your closets look amazing, organized, and you're feeling really good. Now it has been a couple of months since you did that. Do they still look the same way that they look when you finish doing your spring cleaning? I bet not. I know mines don't. And that is because you're lacking a system that allows you to have consistency. So, if you pick a tool for time management and you organize your calendar or you organize your task list, but you don't have a system to build consistency, what happens is that you're back to square one. So your time management system needs to include the systems, or in other words, right? The routines that are going to help you build that consistency. See, I can share with you a lot of different processes and tools to manage your time. But if you don't build those into a system that integrates them on a regular frequency, you will not see momentum and you will definitely don't see success around increasing your productivity. That's why you have tried so many planners and none of them have worked. A planner by itself, it's not going to get you out of overwhelmed because it's just a tool. It's not a system. Now, you can use a planner as part of your time management system, but it needs to be integrated and part of your routines to build that consistency and make it a real system that is working for you. So I mentioned the word routines. What are routines? Routines basically are a series of tasks that are done in the same order, right? But not necessarily at the same time. So it's not something that you do every day at the same time or every week at the same time, but are a series of things that you do in a particular order. And as you're building your time management system, you need to build these routines to help you build a consistency that you need to stick to that system that you're building. So those are the 5 ingredients that we're going to be working on for this recipe. Now, there's other 3 things that I want to mention very quickly before we start building our recipe. First of all, a well-designed time management system is going to involve planning and scheduling your activities, right? So it is important, back to our routines, that we have routines where we are able to set aside dedicated time to plan our days, our weeks, our months, whatever frequency works for you. Here's where the personalization comes in effect. And we're going to be using different tools, whether our calendars or planners or digital apps, to be able to manage everything. What tools you use is up to you. Now, I will tell you the golden rule when it comes to tools as we're talking about a time management system. And that golden rule is you should only have one tool for one expected outcome, right? So you should not have multiple tools to manage your task. If when it comes to managing your task, you need to have one tool that you're going to use. When it's about managing your calendar, you need one tool that you're going to use to manage your calendar, not 5, 6, 7, how many you have today, right? The other thing is our time management system needs to allow flexibility and adaptability. We're going to talk about structure and planning, and those things are important when you're building a time management system, but it's crucial that it's also flexible and adaptable, because here is the thing: unexpected events and changes in priorities are going to arise, right? It's not a matter of if they arise, they will. It's when they will arise. And if we build a system that is too rigid, is not going to allow us to pivot and be able to flex to those changes in priorities or events. So it's important to leave room for adjustments and be willing and open-minded to reschedule, to reprioritize when and as needed. So embrace flexibility when it comes to managing your time. Very important. The other thing I would say is very important is that you build time for reflection and continuous improvement. Regularly reflect on your time management practices and assess their effectiveness is going to be critical to fine tune the system that works for you. So, those 3 things are some extra ingredients that we're going to throw in there to build our time management system. So, okay, that's all the ingredients that we need for our recipe on how to build a time management system. So let's recap what those ingredients is. Number 1, realistic. Our time management system needs to allow us to have the clarity and transparency of what our time budget is, so we can be realistic on how much time we have to do the things that we need and want to do. Ingredient number 2, we said alignment. Our time management system needs to help us align our time and our energy so we can be the most productive that we can be. Ingredient number 3, it was organization and centralization. This, we said, is one key ingredient for our time management system. And basically what it is it needs to allow us to build a central hub or a command center that gives us at any time visibility of all the things that we need to do without to have to go to different places to get that information. Ingredient number 4, prioritization. Effective time management starts with understanding your priorities and identifying what are the most important things for you. Your time management system needs to allow you to have that clarity on what your priorities are and have a way to help you prioritize and know at any point in time what are the most important things that you need to do to move your priorities forward. Ingredient number 5 is consistency. A time management system needs to incorporate routines that help you build the consistency that you need to really see momentum and success in managing your time and being the most productive that you can be. And then we added 3 accessories to add some salt and pepper to our recipe, and that is planning and scheduling. We said a well designed time management system involves planning and scheduling our activities. So it needs to allow us to set the dedicated time to plan our days, our weeks, our months, and the tools to help us do that. Then we talk about flexibility and adaptability. We said while its structure and planning are important, it's also crucial to have flexibility and be adaptable to react to changes in events and priorities. And finally, we said reflection and continuous improvement. Our time management system needs to allow us to continuously learn so we can continue to evolve and perfection our system. So it's constantly working in helping us manage our time and be the most productive that we can be. Now it's time to prepare this recipe. And we are going to cover that in a second part of this episode. Stay tuned for a bonus episode later this week where we're going to go through the recipe and how to put all these ingredients together to help you build your time management system. I'll see you then. Until then, have an amazing and productive start of your week. And as always, let me ask you, if you like today's podcast episode, make sure to share it with a friend. I'll see you here in a couple of days to put this recipe together. See you then.